Hello friends, I'm Dr. Monica Khurana Artwani and I've made this video on communicable diseases. And before starting with the basics of communicable disease and its mode of spread and its prevention, I would like to give you a basic introduction of mine. I am a dentist and a public health professional, and I pursued my master's degree in MPH from US, Kent State University. And I want to spread the knowledge about public health topics and diseases and to help as many people as possible. This would be my first video on communicable disease, and let's get started about it. Okay, so to start with, what is communicable diseases? How we define communicable disease? So, communicable diseases are those which are transmitted from one person to another, and often terms such as infectious and communicable are used interchangeably. So, in further slides, we will also see the basic difference between infectious disease and communicable diseases. Now, let's proceed further and look at different most routes of transmission of spread of communicable diseases. So it spreads through fecal-oral route, and I will also give you examples of each and every route of spread of communicable disease. So through fecal-oral route mode of transmission, examples are cholera and hepatitis A. Then second is through food. So most common is listeriosis. We often uh, hear about listeriosis cases in news as well. And giardiasis are the communicable diseases spreading through food. Then third is through sexual intercourse. So through sexual intercourse, diseases such as chlamydia, genital herpes, gonorrhea are the most common communicable diseases which spread through sexual intercourse. Coming on to the fourth is through insect bites. So chikungunya, dengue, especially in rainy season, we see most of these diseases. Then lymphatic filariasis, Zika virus are diseases which are spreading through insect bites. Okay. Then through contaminated fomites. So, fomites here, I mean, are the objects or materials which are likely to carry infection. So, such as through utensils, through clothes, and on furnitures. So, those are the fomites, contaminated fomites. And the diseases which are spreading through contaminated fomites are like influenza, norovirus, rhinovirus are examples of diseases spreading through contaminated fomites. Then through droplet infections, so most commonly droplet infections, the diseases which we see are common cold, pertussis. Pertussis, we also called it as whooping cough. And then last but not least, through skin contact. So through skin contact, the communicable diseases are impetigo, molluscum contagiosum, and there are many more. So now let's proceed further and learn about the how we broadly classify these spread of communicable disease. So it is classified into direct and indirect spread on a broader basis. And uh, in direct spread, physical contact is an example of direct spread. Okay, indirect spread will be traveling through air, like tuberculosis or measles are examples of indirect spread. While through direct spread or through physical contact, gonorrhea, HIV, or contact from with a contaminated surface or object like Norwalk virus is an example of direct spread. Okay. So after learning about the modes of spread of communicable diseases, now let's proceed further on learning about the difference between infectious and communicable diseases. As I have told you in the very first slide that we will be learning about difference between infectious and communicable disease. So it is important to know that not all infectious diseases are communicable, but communicable diseases are contagious. So, to learn about it in a more better way, let me give you an example, such as food poisoning. Okay, so food poisoning is an infectious disease, but food poisoning is not a communicable disease. Why? Because food poisoning is not contagious. It does not spread through physical contact. Okay, then let's have a look at one more example. For example, tetanus. Okay, so tetanus is also an infectious disease. Okay, but it's not contagious because you can't get it by shaking hands with someone, right? So, tetanus is a second example of infectious but not communicable disease. So, what would be an example of communicable diseases? So, communicable disease example will be COVID, the most recent contagious disease which we all have gone through, whole world has suffered through. Okay, because it spreads through physical contact, through uh, droplet infections. Okay, so it is contagious, right? So the disease which is contagious are communicable diseases. I hope this basic difference between infectious and communicable now will be very clear to you. And but most often these terms are used interchangeably, and so the diseases are also commonly named as both infectious and communicable. Okay, and infectious disease is a broader term under which communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases come. So broader term is infectious disease. Okay, let's proceed further looking at in India what are the most common communicable diseases. So, as you can see in the diagram, okay, COVID-19, typhoid, malaria, tuberculosis, influenza, diarrheal diseases, hepatitis are all examples of communicable diseases which we commonly see in India. And then let's look at globally what all diseases we see. So most commonly measles, neglected tropical and vector-borne diseases, HIV or AIDS, hepatitis, dengue, tuberculosis, climate change and health are all examples of most common communicable diseases globally. Proceeding further, here I have presented a, a duration wise or a timeline of most common or recent outbreaks of communicable diseases. And to have to if you are interested in learning about it in more detail, then you can also visit WHO most recent report of 2018 and 2019 publication, in which you will find more details about these common or recent outbreaks of communicable diseases. Okay, and so the most common outbreak which we saw in 2018 was of Ebola virus, right? And then cholera cases were also found to be increased in 34 countries in 2018, according to WHO. Then there was this respiratory illnesses cases was reported mostly in Democratic Republic of Congo, okay, in 2019. We also faced challenging year for global polio eradication initiative, which was taken by WHO. Then in 2019, we also saw dengue outbreak reported in more than 50 countries. And last but not the least, we have also seen resurgence of polio virus. Wild polio virus cases increased mostly in Afghanistan and Pakistan with vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2, which is also named as CVDPV2 outbreaks. Which its outbreak largely seen in Africa and in parts of Middle East and Southeast Asia. Okay. So this is the basic timeline of recent outbreaks, and if you want to read about it in more detail, then I've also shared a link which of WHO report, and you can have a look at it. Proceeding further, how are we working on prevention of communicable diseases? Okay, So there has been significant progress made in cholera prevention and control. And we have seen the number of cases declining by 60% in 2018, and mostly in major hotspots such as Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, and Yemen. Then, with respect to malaria, we have also seen the cases declining from somewhere around 5 lakh to 4 lakh between 2010 and 2018. Tuberculosis deaths are decreased from 1.6 million in 2017 to 1.5 million in 2018, which is really commendable. And then there is this policy, treat all policy. So this is a guideline for people living with HIV, which envisages that 90% of the individuals be diagnosed on time HIV cases, and then 90% of diagnosed cases be treated with combination ART therapy. Okay, and 90% of treated patients successfully achieve suppression of viral load by 2020. So this is treat all policy for HIV. And so the basic aim of this policy was to interrupt virus transmission, prevent HIV related illness and death, and meet the goals of the 2014 United Nations program on HIV or AIDS that aims to stop the HIV epidemic, which is very important. And so there are many such organizations who are working towards achieving this goal of eradicating communicable diseases, such as WHO, Pan America Health Organization, United Nations, National Center for Biotechnology Information, National Institute of Health, and there are many other NGOs as well which are working towards this goal. So, last but not least, I will be telling you about how we have achieved the prevention of communicable diseases. So, due to advances in technology in the past, as we all know, there has been tremendous achievement in control of infectious diseases. Then there are these small and simple measures which are adopted by many countries, such as improved sanitation and food safety, which has also led to a reduction in cases of communicable diseases. Then there is modern advances in antimicrobials and vaccination programs, which has dramatically reduced and eradicated communicable diseases further. And last but not the least, however, as we saw with COVID-19, and there might be new organisms which we might see emergence of new organisms in future. So there is always a need of to be vigilant for such organisms and to continue working on implementing many such programs and policies to prevent communicable diseases. And here are the references which I have shared, uh, from where I took all the information, and hope you will find it helpful. So thank you so much, and thanks for watching. I'll be coming with many such videos in future. Thank you so much.